130 million people take road trips every year. 15,400 of them are never seen again. Have you heard the story of the passenger that's been circulating online lately? A young couple set out on a van life trip, but a few nights in, they came across a brutal car accident on the side of the road. I'm not talking about a typical crash. Something about this was off. And there's one detail that keeps coming up. The car they found had 3 deep scratches carved into the side. Not dents, scratches. They stopped, they saw it, and then they left. But here's where things got strange. Not long after, creepy things start happening. They began to feel like they weren't alone in the van, like something followed them from that road. People online have started connecting it to something they're calling the passenger. Supposedly, it attaches itself to anyone who encounters it and marks their car with 3 scratches. And once that happens, it doesn't let go. If these reports are true, this couple didn't just witness something on that highway, they carried it with them. From Andre Overdahl, director of Autopsy of Jane Doe, comes Passenger. Only in theaters May 22nd. Get tickets now.
Welcome to Scare You to Sleep. I'm your host, Shelby Novak, and I'm here to tell you of some dark tales I've found on the website reddit.com. Welcome to the 25th Dark Reddit episode. We've discovered so much weird stuff together over the years. Thank you for spending so much time with me combing through strange things. I hope we keep doing it for a long time. In honor of the occasion, I have created a Spotify playlist solely of the Dark Reddit episodes. You can find that linked in the show notes below. I hope it's helpful for those of you who really enjoy these episodes. And tonight I've compiled a nice balance of real-world horrors and the paranormal to hopefully satiate the palate of both ends of the spectrum of my beautiful listeners. Our first set of stories comes from the Ask Reddit subreddit, and this is a newer post, only from 3 days ago as of this recording. User SadConflict6839 asked, "What's the most terrifying thing that happened to you that nobody believes?" And let me start us off with one that gave me the deepest chills. This was user SavingsHunt388. A few years ago, I was up around 3 a.m. debugging some code for a project. I had my noise-canceling headphones on, completely in the zone, but I kept feeling this faint, rhythmic thumping through the floorboards of my apartment. I finally took off my headphones, and the silence of the room hit me. Then I heard it. Someone was aggressively, violently jiggling my front door handle. Not like they had the wrong apartment, but like they were trying to snap the lock mechanism. I froze. I slowly got out of my chair, trying not to make the floor creak, and crept over to the peephole. Through the lens, I saw a guy in a heavy, dark hoodie. He was holding what looked like a long, flathead screwdriver, trying to wedge it into the door frame. My heart was pounding so hard, I was terrified he could hear it through the door. I grabbed my phone and dialed 911, whispering to the dispatcher. Here is the terrifying part. While I was on the phone, the guy suddenly stopped. He pulled the screwdriver out, stood perfectly still, and then leaned in to look directly in the peephole. Logically, I know it's a one-way mirror and he couldn't see me, but I felt like he was staring right into my eyes. He smiled, tapped the door twice with his knuckles, and calmly walked away down the hall. The cops arrived a few minutes later, but he was gone. They found deep scratch marks all around the deadbolt. I broke my lease and moved out a week later. To this day, I can't wear noise-canceling headphones when I'm home alone. Oof, this one scared me so much. I had a run-in with someone coming into my apartment very late at night, my building manager, thinking I wasn't home. It was innocent. It was just to check on something. He thought I was out of town. But it was like 10:30 at night, and to have your door open or someone to mess with your door like that at an hour where you're just like laying on the couch and it is the dead of night, it is so scary. And I can't even imagine something like this. I mean, actually I can. I used to live in a pretty bad neighborhood. I used to live in a building where like my neighbors I've lived in a couple buildings where my neighbors would get raided a lot. And I lived in one building where like some of the downstairs guys were like selling drugs. And so sometimes like rival gangs would come like break windows and stuff. And I was so happy I was on the second floor there. But I was always worried about my car. Sometimes they would go like mess with people's cars. And yeah, man, apartment living can be very scary. And the noise canceling headphones, I have friends who will like go on walks and stuff with noise canceling headphones, and I think that's absolutely insane. And if any of you are listening, I think you're insane. And I like when I go on walks frequently. I try to like walk almost every day, and I wear one earbud so I can hear things coming, so I can hear people walking up to me. It saved me from getting hit by bikes or those stupid electric scooters. Sorry to say they're stupid. There's so many in my neighborhood, and I live near like there's a bike path next to the where I walk frequently, and people still ride their bikes and like their electric bikes on the sidewalk, and I've almost gotten taken out so many times. And the only thing that saved me is the fact that I have that one earbud out and I can hear them coming and like move out of the way, because they won't move. They just power through. Like one girl was like ringing her little bike bell at me, and I was like a part of the path where like there was nowhere for me to go. There was like a bush to my left, bush to my right, and there was like just literally nowhere for me to go. I tried to go to the left as much as I could again, and like walking with my legs like scratching in the bushes, and she just powered through on her electric bike, ringing her stupid little bell at me. I got on a real it's a real tangent there. Sorry, there's a really loud car outside. Anyway, don't wear noise canceling headphones on walks. You can wear them at home, I guess. You can also do whatever you want. I'm not your dad. I can't tell you what to do. Okay, the next one. Partially Canine said, I think a few people I've told do believe this story, but it's so horror movie levels of creepy and terrifying I don't tell people until we know each other really well. So I was about 15 to 16 living with my dad, his girlfriend, and her 4-year-old son in this old 3-level house, upstairs, main level, basement. Now this place is old, like the basement has a canning room old. So I have a friend over one night and we're smoking weed in the basement. My dad and his girlfriend are asleep upstairs, and her 4-year-old fell asleep in the living room couch on the main level. My friend and I are sitting in the basement talking when we both pause and look up. We hear heavy footfalls walking from the living room to the kitchen, almost like a man wearing boots. My dad shouldn't be up yet. It's like 1 or 2 in the morning. Also, we would have heard him come down the steps. We didn't. So behind these heavy footsteps, we hear little pitter-patter footsteps, like the 4-year-old has followed them from the living room to the kitchen. After a few moments of silence, the steps go in reverse. Heavy footsteps go from kitchen back to living room, and right behind them, the tiny child footsteps from the kitchen back to the living room. My friend and I look at each other confused, and then we decide we should go see what's going on. We go up and find the 4-year-old sitting on the couch, holding a big cooking spoon that was hung up behind the stove, where he would have barely even been able to reach if standing on a chair. No chair was moved. We asked him, "How did you get that?" He said, "The man gave it to me." One of us asks, "What man?" The 4-year-old's eyes get wide, and without missing a beat, he says, "The bloody man." User Poison Ivy Sore 13 replied and said, "Wait, So did anything else ever happen? Was the bloody man just a one-time thing? And partially canine said, we would hear odd bumping around type noises from time to time. Even our dog reacted to those. My room was in the basement, and one time, a blanket that was laid flat on my bed, I came down to find it laid flat on the floor next to the bed. My dad's girlfriend claimed that one time when she was alone, something was thrown at her, but she was a compulsive liar, so IDK about that one. And the energy around the events never seemed aggressive like that, just odd and random. Little things seemed to be moved slightly, like I mentioned. The odd noises. That's so spooky. Kids are so spooky. There's a couple, stories in here of kids just saying the scariest stuff. This next one is a real-life one. It's very dark. This is from user Hunart. My mother almost killed both of us when I was 3. When she decided to leave my father while he was on a fishing trip, she drove halfway across the country, high on something and probably low on sleep, and flipped the car several times after trying to get off the road too fast. I thankfully don't remember anything after being told to hold on. I wasn't buckled in and was supposedly ejected from the back seat and out the hatchback. I hit my head hard enough to crack it. She made up a story about it being the car's fault. I spent 6 weeks in the hospital and have a plate in my head. Thankfully, I can still walk and talk just fine. I didn't know the truth until a few decades later. She also lied about my dad, claiming he didn't come to see me when he did. I don't remember much from the hospital, aside from just a lot of waiting and staring up at the ceiling. So, that one was sad, but, I like to include some balance between some of the more paranormal ones. The real world is much scarier, I think, sometimes than paranormal stuff. Okay, so this is let's move on to another Ask Reddit question from user Drizco. They asked, what's the creepiest thing that's happened to you that you still can't explain? Peekaboo, perfect name, said, woke up at exactly 3:33 a.m. for a week straight. No alarm, no noise, just eyes open. On the 5th night, I sat up and my closet door was open. I always close it. Check the whole house. Nothing. Never happened again. See, stuff like that is so simple. So simple, and I always sleep with my closet door open. I think it's because I'm so afraid of shutting it and then it being open, and I like being able to see in there. I don't know. I like doors open. When I was growing up, my mom was very everyone keep your doors open. We could be in our rooms with our doors shut, but when it was time for us to go to sleep, even if I would stay up late a lot, painting and writing when I was a teenager. I'd stay up into the wee hours painting and clickety-clacketing away on my little computer. But as soon as I was actually going to bed, I had to open my door, and my brother had the same rule. And she was just really big into having the doors open. She's like a house cat. Cats hate shut doors too. But she said it was in case we ever needed to call out, and a very mom thing to do. But I think I got that from her, and now I always have all the doors open where I'm at. I know some people keep their bathroom doors shut at all times. I don't. I keep my bathroom door open. I keep all the doors open. My closet door, even my linen closet doors are frequently open because my cat opens them. She also loves an open door. So just a tip, if you don't want your closet door to mysteriously be open, always have it open. But I do hate when I wake up in the 3 o'clock hour. I'm still very superstitious about it, and I'm oh no. And I sleep with a sleep mask on too, and sometimes that's even freakier because it's I'll wake up and it's the creepy hour, 3 o'clock hour is the creepy hour. And then I'm afraid to put my face mask back on to sleep, even though it's because of where I live, there's like, it's never super dark in my room because of light pollution. And so that's why I sleep with one. And then I'm like afraid to put it on because it's like, oh no, there's going to be a thing like around, like, you know, like standing there as soon as I put it on. Yeah, anyway, sometimes you never grow out of it. Next was from Effective Window 922. In college, I had a roommate that left on a trip and was supposed to be back one evening. The night he was supposed to return, I had a dream that he came back to the room soaking wet, saying he was in a car accident. The next morning, I woke up, and he wasn't there. I just assumed his flight was delayed, and I went to class. After I finished class, the dean of students was waiting for me outside of the classroom and asked me to come to his office, where I found our other roommate. The dean told us that the plane our roommate was on had crashed into a lake and he was killed. So scared. There's like a few stories of that, even in this group that I've put together. And it's so interesting, that phenomenon. Like, people will get, you know, phantom phone calls even from someone right before they die. And it's stuff like that where I don't know how you can be like a full-blown, like, nothing paranormal is real, it's all like fake or made up or whatever, because it's like, I don't know, like, how do you, I just feel like, I don't know, we don't have all the answers. I feel like, how are there that many stories of it out there? I don't know. Very scary though. This next one is from Stock Engineer. Oh, this is a reply to the previous one. I had something similar happen to me, a very clear dream. I knew I was dreaming, and my aunt, who pretty much raised me as a kid, was saying goodbye to me and that I should take care as she was leaving. It was so surreal. That morning, I get a call from my parents saying she passed away during the night. And then Fluffles McForeskin replied to both of them and said, I can't prove it, but I'm convinced we're all connected, quote unquote, to each other in some metaphysical way. There are way too many incidents like yours for there not to be. We just haven't figured out what it is. And I agree with Fluffles McForeskin, because there are just so many stories like that. So strange.
$130 million people take road trips every year. 15,400 of them are never seen again. Have you heard the story of the passenger that's been circulating online lately? A young couple set out on a van life trip, but a few nights in, they came across a brutal car accident on the side of the road. I'm not talking about a typical crash. Something about this was off. And there's one detail that keeps coming up. The car they found had 3 deep scratches carved into the side. Not dents, scratches. They stopped, they saw it, and then they left. But here's where things got strange. Not long after, creepy things start happening. They began to feel like they weren't alone in the van, like something followed them from that road. People online have started connecting it to something they're calling the passenger. Supposedly, it attaches itself to anyone who encounters it and marks their car with 3 scratches. And once that happens, it doesn't let go. If these reports are true, this couple didn't just witness something on that highway, they carried it with them. From Andre Overdahl, director of Autopsy of Jane Doe, comes Passenger. Only in theaters May 22nd. Get tickets now.
Next is from Calendad. Worked as a caregiver on the night shift for a small 10-bed home for several years. One night, about 3 a.m., from the other side of the house, I heard a tremendously loud crash that sounded like a tray of dishes and silverware being dropped to the floor. I could hear what sounded like porcelain shattering, silverware scattering on the tile, and a stray cup or bowl rolling on the floor before settling. With my heart pounding in my chest, I checked the common areas and all the rooms, but found nothing. This continued to happen roughly every 6 months. Eventually, I became manager and took on day shifts. After a few months, our new night caregiver gave me a call in the middle of the night, so panicked she could barely speak. She said, I know you won't believe me, but I heard a really loud crash. I checked all the rooms, but I couldn't figure out what made it. I asked, did it sound like a tray of dishes being dropped? She was too stunned to respond for a few moments. I left a few years later, and we never did figure out what was causing that periodic crash. I love something like that. It's like, it could be anything from, you could go the paranormal route and be like, it's a residual haunting. Someone dropped all those dishes many years ago. Or it's like something, like a transmitter or something. It's something very explainable, but has nothing to do with the actual care home. So you'll like never find out because it's like something from the utility company or something, some sort of maintenance or something crazy like that. Oh, this next one is a good one from Mountain Man 17. I was camping in the Uinta Mountains of Utah one night. By the way, I looked at the pronunciation of that because I was not familiar with how to pronounce that mountain range. So Utahans, Utahites, I don't know what you're called either. I apologize if I got that wrong. When I noticed a light on the other side of the valley. Feeling a little playful, I strobed my flashlight at it. It flashed in return, then went back on steady. I turned back to enjoy the fire I made. After a few minutes, something made me look back at the area where the light was. Not only was it still there, I noticed that it, almost imperceptibly, looked like it was getting closer. The weird thing was, it approached on a straight beeline course as it came down the valley slope. There was no deviation left or right. This was odd as I was camped in a particularly rugged area. No straight roads or trails to be found. The undulating terrain would make the light disappear momentarily, but there was no deviation laterally. It was just slowly making its way directly toward me, even brighter, as if it were on a march. After about 10 minutes of watching this light methodically get closer and closer, I doused the fire, threw my tent and bag in the bed of my truck, and got a room in Evanston. It still freaks me out when I think about it. Hedgehog number 8361 replied, "Holy mackerel, post this in our backwoods creepy. They'd love it. ETA, do you think it was a person?" Mountain Man 17 said, "It's hard to think it was anything but a person, but then again, there was no way anyone or anything could plow through that terrain in a perfectly straight line, day or night, but especially at night. Weird things happen in the woods." I love camping stuff, and it's like stuff like that where you just have to follow your intuition. Like, if you're freaked out, just leave. I am so glad Mountain Man 17 just left. There was another reply, though, from Ms. Dovahkiin. Whoa, something similar actually happened to me once. I was on a beach at night on Lake Superior hunting for Uper lights. We saw something with a flashlight on the opposite side of the beach, easily a half-mile away. Suddenly, their flashlights started moving up and down like they were running towards us, except the flashlight was getting way too close, way too quickly, like impossibly fast. We started booking it and never found out what it was. There's so much mystery in the forests, aren't there? We have a lot of weird stuff in like American woods. Like both of these stories are from America. Or the US, at least. I feel like I don't hear as many scary camping stories from other parts of the world. I'm sure there are. I would love to hear them. So what I'm saying is, if you come across any or you have any yourself, please send them in, because there's something about wilderness mysteries there's just some extra film of creep factor in them. I don't know what it is. I guess it's like the idea that we still, as populated as the earth has become, and as much as we're connected by like the internet, there are still parts of the woods where you could be lost forever. And I think that's really cool, but also terrifying. And it makes me feel small. And I like that. All right, next on to user FatLouis58. My son was 4, and we were at my aunt's house in mid-America, the Plains region. It was the wee hours, and my son woke me up because he had a potty. He couldn't reach the wall sconces, so I got up and turned the bathroom lights on. It was freezing in the bathroom despite it being August and hot and humid that day. We got back in bed. I was laying on my side, and my son was on his back. Out of nowhere, he says, "What is that cloud?" Cloud? I open my eyes, and there's a cloud above the bed. I could see through it. The cloud seemed illuminated. I snuggled my son and said, "Let's tell the cloud good night." I had my eyes closed, but I knew the cloud went down by my feet and then came up by my side of the bed and then out the door. I fell asleep holding my son. The next morning, I awoke before my son. My aunt was in the kitchen. She asked me if I had went up the stairs to her bedroom last night. I hadn't. She said she heard footsteps on her stairs. I told her about the cloud. She felt it was her dad who visited during the night. I told her that I didn't want to talk about it in front of my son. When my son woke up, the first thing he said was, "What was that cloud last night?" He said it went to the end of the bed, then moved up by my side of the bed and out the door. We never felt threatened by the cloud, but it was a weird event that I can't explain. User Canadian Butthole replied, "Fucking what the fucking fuck." There were like a couple other people who said they also saw clouds as children and things, like just floating through the house. So strange. I've never heard of the cloud phenomenon. Is this the next Santa Claus story? Are there a bunch of indoor cloud stories out there that I'm just unfamiliar with? Let me know. Ooh, this next one gave me the creeps. This is by user Bionic Push. The creepiest thing that still fucks me up happened when I was 19 and house sitting alone for 10 days. Family friends asked me to stay at their big house while they went to Europe. House is like 100 plus years old, wooden floors, long corridors. First week was fine. Then one night, around 3:30 a.m., I wake up because I hear very clear footsteps walking down the hallway toward my bedroom. Actual heel and toe, deliberate human footsteps. I freeze. They stop right outside my door. Dead silence for maybe 20 seconds, then, very softly, 3 knocks. Not aggressive, just tap, tap, tap. Like someone polite asking permission. I didn't move, didn't breathe. After like a minute, the footsteps slowly walked away again. Same direction they came from. I laid there until sunrise, shitting bricks. Next morning, I check every door and window, all locked from inside. No one could have gotten in. I tell myself it was probably the house settling, or pipes, or whatever. I would tell myself the same thing. Like, there are some things that are so simple. Like, this isn't you seeing a full body apparition. This is what I've talked about on the show before, too, is these are the stories that really get me. It's not something straight out of a horror movie, really. It's so simple, but so terrifying and so inexplicable. Because, okay, say it's not paranormal. It was someone in the house. That's equally as terrifying, if not more. So what was it? Who was it? And what would you do in that situation? What would you do if you woke up? And there are a few of these in this week's lump of stories I've made. I can't think of what to call them. Where it's like, it could have been an intruder. It could have been a ghost. What would you prefer? And also, What would you do in a situation like this? I'm actually asking because I don't know what I would do. I think I would be like this user. I would freeze in the room and just not sleep. And then the next morning, check everything and then do the same thing. Be like, it's just the pipes. It's just the pipes settling. It's just the pipes. It's an old house. Okay, and a different question. This is from user Orbital Mystery 9. What's the creepiest thing that has ever happened to you that you still can't explain? So this is from user Nurgler, I think. Some of these usernames just get away from me. My grandparents live in the next state over. My whole life we've been making trips to and from their house along the state route. Probably close to 12 times a year, back and forth. My siblings and I know the road really well. It's familiar to me. One time, when my brother was old enough to start driving, we were heading to their house and the weather turned bad. Really poor visibility, and he decided to pull off the road. In the storm, we pulled into a vacant motel parking lot, only neither of us recognized it from any of our previous trips. It had Silent Hill type vibes real bad, and the storm did not help. Broken windows, sparse, dull, flickering lights, and one other car in the lot that we kept our distance from. As soon as it was clear enough to drive, we got back on the road. I've made that trip probably 100 more times in my life since then, and I've never seen that motel again. Oh, man. There was a story we had on a previous dark Reddit there. It was like someone had come across a gas station and there was a guy, and then they would go back and that gas station wasn't there anymore. And then someone was like, I remember my dad worked at a gas station like that, and he basically described him, and he had a weird interaction with people. I don't know, just these time slip type stories. Or I guess this isn't necessarily a time slip, like whatever you would call it. Like these are also another frequent high strangeness of coming across a building or a location that is not there on the same route you've always taken. Of course, you can explain it. You know, there was low visibility. Possibly they took a weird road that they didn't realize they had taken. The little brother was it little brother? Whatever type. The brother was a new driver, you know. So there are some other factors at hand that for sure, you know, debunk away. My lovely skeptics out there, I love you. I love you too. But still, again, like the other phenomenon we talked about, where it's like, why does this happen so often? Why or not? I mean, not so often. It's not every day, but there's so many stories like this. Really makes you think, or at least it makes me think. And this is from Training Bank 16. One morning at my dad's house, we used to keep a car battery against the door to keep it shut because it had been kicked so many times. We were sleeping, and around 5 a.m., we heard the front door open and slam shut. I was sleeping on the couch, and my dad comes out of his room thinking I was leaving. He was calling my name, asking where I was going. He didn't come out of his room right away, but I heard sweeping, like a shuffling of feet. But when he did come out, walking down the hall in a hurry, something ran up the stairs and opened the door again, and it slammed shut. My dad got to the door and said, "What the fuck?" I asked, "Who was that, Dad?" and replied, "What the fuck?" The battery was still against the door. Creepy. I don't have much to say about that one other than like, ooh, ooh. And this is our last story of the evening from Professional Plant 16. When I was maybe 12 to 13, my dad, brother, and I moved into a new, to us, house. The very second I walked in there, it had an extremely heavy energy. I said, "Someone died here." I sat there for a little bit and said, "His name was Denny." Everyone made fun of me heavily for years, but I knew what I felt. I hated going to that house because I felt the heavy energy every time I walked in the door. I refused to sleep in my own room because I could just feel the energy coming from my closet. Fast forward 25 years, and I started working at a cemetery. My job was to digitize all the death certificates and burial plots. One day, I come across a death certificate that had my old address, his cause of death, hanging, and sure enough, his name was Denny. My blood went cold. Stardusted Daisies replied, "So, how satisfying was the I told you so?" And Professional Plant 16 said, "This was about 3 years ago, and I'm still feeling that high." So thank you so much for this 25th episode of Dark Reddit. Just a reminder, there is a full playlist of all of these now on Spotify if you're a Spotify user. That is linked in the show notes. And wow, what a ride. So thanks for listening. And if you ever find something interesting on Reddit, I've had it only happen maybe a couple times where you can send something you find on there. I mean, I'm not telling you to do my work for me. I browse Reddit already on my own for weird stuff. So that's why I started this series, so I could basically have an excuse to talk about the weird stuff I found in Reddit, because I can't, I have no, who am I going to tell? Clara? She's sitting on my chair right now, actually. So I could tell her, but she doesn't talk back. So what am I supposed to do? What's a girl to do? But tell all my best friends, which is you guys, about all the weird stuff I find in Reddit. So thank you for 25 episodes of letting me tell you about all the weird shit I find in Reddit. And if you have any other sort of story, a true story or a fictional story, please send it into scareyoutosleep@gmail.com. Just remember to put into the subject line whether it is true or fictional. You can also get ad-free episodes on patreon.com/scareyoutosleep. And you can follow me on social media at scareyoutosleep on Instagram, at Shelby B. Novak on Instagram if you'd like to follow my personal Instagram. And you can join the Facebook group. We've had so many new people joining the Facebook group lately. I did do a feed swap with my friends over at the Antiquarium of Sinister Happenings, and I think that's sent a few of you my way. So welcome. Thank you for coming. I appreciate your presence. Thank you for joining the Facebook group. I've seen quite a few of you be like, "I found you on Antiquarium," and thank you. I'm so happy. I sent them the sensory deprivation episode, so those of you who have already been listeners, your feedback about that one made me think, oh, maybe this will be a good one to send over for a feed drop, because it seemed like you guys liked it. So thank you again. Welcome. It's an eclectic show. It's not to be like, I'm not like other shows, but as you can see, it's not just horror fiction. It's a little mix of horror fiction and dark Reddit, and sometimes true stories, and sometimes we do guided nightmares. Someone asked me recently if I'm still doing guided nightmares. Yes, I promise. As you can see, I've done a lot of writing. I did Critterland USA. I did the Passenger episode, which thank you. You guys seem to enjoy that. I got to go to the Paramount Studios lot on Monday to see it on the big screen. So much fun. And I got my own little St. Christopher's medallion. And if you haven't seen the movie yet, go check it out. And, I got to see Corporate Retreat yesterday. Or I had already seen Corporate Retreat, but we had the premiere yesterday as Bloody Disgusting, and me and, my co-moderator, as always, Michael Rothman. We did the Q&A, which was such a fantastic time. The cast was amazing. I got to sit next to Alan Ruck, which is pretty crazy. He's just been in so much over the years, and I was a huge fan of Ferris Bueller's Day Off, and then in my adulthood, I was a huge fan of Succession. So it was cool to sit next to him, and we shared a microphone, and he had a cold. So I think he might have given me a little bit of his cold because we shared a microphone, but that's okay. How many people can say they got a cold from Cameron from Ferris Bueller's Day Off? I don't know how many, but I'm maybe one of them now. So there you have it. It's been a very busy week, but that's what I got off on the tangent. I am going to be writing the guided neighbors, but I've been writing a lot of other stuff, and I've been doing a lot of in-person events, working these events for my company. which has been so gratifying, but so tiring. So I will have time, a little more time soon. Honestly, surprised I've done so much writing. I think that sometimes when I'm so stressed, I've been very stressed recently about my future and life. I'm not going to bore you with all that, but I'll do a ramble soon on Patreon. Over on Patreon, sometimes I do full-on rambles and I just talk about life. I think I need to do one of those soon. But anyway, I think sometimes when I'm put into like a pressure cooker, that's when the inspiration comes. Hence, Critterland USA. So thank you so much for all of your continued support. I really appreciate it. But yes, Guided Nightmares will be back. I just need to find the time to really center myself with those. That sounds so, oh my God, like so artsy. But I just want it to be a great experience for everyone. I don't want to just pump them out and then they're just garbage, you know? So I'm going to go. I think that was all I was going to tell you this week. I'll do a ramble for Patreon. I have most of Ted the Caver, the final part done. But again, this week was very busy with in-person stuff. I have gotten in my steps. Boy, howdy. So that'll be ongoing. And then this weekend, in personal news, I'm getting to see my brother and sister-in-law in person for the first time in a couple years. Actually, I haven't seen them since right after my divorce, so that'll be great because I'm not a shell of a person anymore. At least I hope not. And we're going to go celebrate my mother's retirement party. Happy retirement, Mom. Everyone say happy retirement, Shelby's mom. And so that's what I'm going to do this weekend. Are you having a good weekend? I hope so. I hope you have a great weekend. And I hope you drink water. It's heating up, at least in this part of the world. Oh boy, has it been heating up. It was so hot today in my apartment. Oh God, I feel like I'm melting. I feel like I've melted into my chair. So remember to drink your water, get some electrolytes. And, if your closet door opens at 3:33 in the morning, let me know. Shout out. All right. Go get some sleep. Sweet dreams.